Look at the back of your hand. The skin, the faint blue line of a vein, the warmth underneath. It feels like the most ordinary thing you own. It is not ordinary. Almost none of it started here. The atoms in that hand are older than this planet, older than the sun. Most of them were made somewhere else a long time ago in conditions you would not survive for a fraction of a second. Your hand is on loan from the universe, and the universe took its time making the parts. Here is the part most people miss. The phrase you have heard, the one that says you are made of stardust, is almost true. Almost. The honest version is stranger and better than the slogan. So the real question is not whether you are made of dead stars. It is how much of you was and which parts and what had to happen to them first. Your body holds around 7 billion atoms. That is more atoms in your one body than there are stars in the entire observable universe, by a wide margin. To find where they came from, you do not need to count them. You only need to follow a few of them. Some are survivors of the very beginning. Some were breathed out by stars dying quietly. Some were thrown across space by stars dying loud. And a few were made in something so rare it almost did not happen at all. They arrive in a familiar order, so follow them in that order, starting with the oldest thing inside you. Start with hydrogen. By sheer count, it is most of you. More than 6 in every 10 atoms in your body is a single hydrogen atom, tucked into water and into nearly every molecule you are built from. And hydrogen is the one part of you that is not made of dead stars at all. It is older than every star that has ever existed. Your hydrogen formed in the first few minutes of the universe, before there was a single star to make anything. Back then, the whole universe was just hydrogen and helium and almost nothing else. No carbon, no oxygen, no iron, no planets, because there was nothing to build a planet from. If the universe had stayed that way, you could never have existed. There was not enough variety in it to make a living thing. Your hydrogen has not been changed since those first minutes. When you drink a glass of water, half of what you swallow, the hydrogen half, is a direct sample of the newborn universe. It has passed through clouds and oceans and other bodies, and now, briefly, it is yours. The strange part is what hydrogen cannot do. On its own, it cannot build a bone or a thought or a heartbeat. It is the oldest material in you, and the most helpless. For the rest of you, something had to die. So the universe had to build a machine for making everything else. That machine is a star. Then there is oxygen. By weight, it is the largest part of you, nearly 2/3. And unlike hydrogen, your oxygen is not a relic of the beginning. It was cooked. Deep inside a large star, the pressure is so enormous that hydrogen atoms are crushed together until they fuse into heavier ones. That fusion is what makes a star shine. It is also slow cooking on a scale that is hard to picture. Over millions of years, a massive star works its way up the ladder of elements, fusing light atoms into heavier ones, layer by layer, like the rings of an onion. Helium, carbon, oxygen. The oxygen you are mostly built from sat, locked inside a giant star for most of that star's life. Then the star ran out of fuel. And here the corrective is important. The star did not gently release your oxygen. It collapsed and rebounded and tore itself apart, scattering its layers across space. It is not a gentle origin. The oxygen now sitting in your lungs drifted across the dark for ages before it was ever air, before there was a planet for it to land on. So when you take your next slow breath, consider what you are doing. You are pulling in atoms that were forged in the core of a star and scattered by its death, and using them for a moment to stay alive. The most ordinary act you perform, the one you have done without thinking since your first second of life, is also the most ancient. Then there is carbon, the backbone of every living molecule in you, your proteins, your fats, the long spiral of your DNA. All of it is hung on a frame of carbon, and carbon has a softer story than oxygen. It is not only made in explosions. Much of your carbon came from medium stars, stars not so different from the sun, that did not detonate. They simply grew old, swelled up into red giants, and shed their outer layers into space like smoke lifting off a cooling ember. Slow, almost peaceful. A star breathing its material out over thousands of years instead of blasting it out in a second. Here is what most people get wrong. They picture one kind of cosmic death making all of you. It is not one death. It is many of different kinds. The carbon in your skin and in your cells drifted out of a star that died of old age. The oxygen you breathe came from one that died in violence. You are not the product of a single event. You are an assembly of atoms with different histories, gathered from different kinds of dying, that happen to have ended up in the same place at the same time. And that place is you. Then there is calcium. You can feel this one. It is in your teeth, it is in your bones. It is most of the hard structure that holds you upright and lets you move. Without it, you would have no frame at all, just soft tissue with nothing to pull against. And calcium has the same kind of origin as the rest. It was made inside stars and scattered when they died. Every bone in your body is built from the leftover material of dead stars, pressed into service as a skeleton. So when you stand up, you are standing on the ash of dead stars. When you walk, that ash carries you. The structure you think of as the most solid, most permanent part of yourself is, at the level of atoms, salvage. Old salvage, gathered from the wreckage of things that burned out before the sun was born. The haunting part is how routine it feels. You do not sense any of this. Your skeleton does not feel ancient. It just feels like you, which brings you to iron. There is not much of it in you. A small pinch, mostly riding in your blood, where it grabs the oxygen and carries it to every cell. Tiny amounts. Enormous origin. Iron is the last thing a massive star can ever make. Building elements by fusion gives a star energy, all the way up the ladder, until it reaches iron. And iron is where the ladder ends. Fusing iron does not release energy. It costs energy. So once a star's core fills with iron, the star has nothing left to burn, and nothing left to hold itself up. It collapses in less than a second. It rebounds as a supernova, one of the brightest events in the entire universe, briefly outshining whole galaxies. The iron is born in that final violence and blasted outward at a temperature that makes the surface of the sun feel cold. That iron is in you now. You do not have to look up at the night sky to find the remains of a dead star. You can feel one moving. It is the faint metal taste of blood. It is the warmth in your hands. It is the thing your heart has been pushing in a circle, beat after beat your entire life. The dead star is not a distant memory. It is doing a job inside you right now. And then, last, there are the heavy metals. The trace of gold and similar metals your body carries in amounts so small you would never notice. These have the strangest origin of all, because for a long time we were not sure where they came from. Iron is the end of the line for an ordinary star. To build something heavier than iron, gold, or the metals in your blood enzymes, you need conditions even more extreme than a supernova. The leading answer is almost unbelievable, and it is true. Much of the universe's gold appears to come from the collision of two neutron stars. A neutron star is what is left after a supernova, a city-sized core so dense that a spoonful would weigh as much as a mountain. When two of them spiral into each other and collide, the crash forges the heaviest elements and throws them into space. Here we have to be honest. We do not know exactly how much of each heavy element came from which kind of event. That is still being worked out. But the picture is clear enough to say something strange and true. A few of the atoms in you may have been made not by a dying star, but by the collision of the corpses of two of them. So how much of you was made inside a dead star? Not all of you. Your hydrogen is older than stars, a survivor of the beginning, but nearly everything that lets you be a body instead of a thin cloud of gas, the oxygen you are shaped from, the carbon you are strung on, the calcium that holds you up, the iron you run on, the faint gold you carry, was assembled inside stars and set free only when those stars died. We cannot point to the single star that made the oxygen in your left hand. That record is gone. We know the kinds of deaths that made you, not their names. And there is something fitting in that. You are a temporary gathering of very old things. The gathering will not last. The atoms will come apart again and move on to be other things after you, as they have been other things before you. You do not own them. You are borrowing them, the way every living thing that ever existed borrowed them first. Every time your heart beats, it moves the wreckage of dead stars through a body that, for a little while, gets to be alive and notice. If that is the kind of thought you want to keep having, there is a great deal more of it waiting here.